Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am so incredibly excited to guide you through today's topic, because we're unpacking a text that is, frankly, mind-bending. We're diving straight into Volume 19 of the ancient Zongjing Lu. It's this monumental philosophical work that maps out the ultimate nature of human consciousness. If you've ever felt that disconnect between, the idea of spiritual awakening and the messy reality of your day-to-day life, well, you're absolutely in the right place. Today, we're exploring a massive paradox at the very heart of Zen and Buddhist philosophy. It's a journey that's going to completely challenge how you view your own mind.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the grand premise that all beings are Buddhas, explore the obscured reality of the hidden jewel, see exactly how truth and delusion coexist, look at how the initial mind is enlightenment, and finally resolve the internal logic between enlightenment and everyday practice. Let's get started.
Section 1. The Great Paradox. All beings are Buddhas. Right off the bat, the text hits us with this absolutely bold claim. Anyone with a mind is already inherently a perfectly realized Buddha. You don't just have the potential to become one after lifetimes of striving, you already are one right now. But the text knows exactly how we're going to react to that. It actually validates our skepticism by asking this amazing Socratic question right on the page. If all beings can become Buddhas, why aren't we Buddhas now? Seriously. If I'm inherently perfect, why am I still stressing over emails, getting angry in traffic, and dealing with life's daily friction? Why do I feel so incredibly far from being a Buddha? This is the central tension we're going to resolve.
Section 2. The obscured reality. So, if we're already perfect, why is the truth hidden from us? To answer that, the text introduces the concept of ignorance, but it's not ignorance like failing a pop quiz. It's a fundamental misperception of reality. Our true awakened nature is totally intact. It's just hidden beneath our chaotic, everyday awareness. Look at the contrast here on the screen. When you look at the world through the eyes of sentient beings, our ordinary minds, you just see limits, boundaries, and separation. But through the eyes of the Buddha, your actual true nature, you see boundlessness. The author uses this brilliant metaphor. He says the wind of ignorance stirs the ocean of our mind. The deep water is pure and calm, but the relentless wind of our distracting thoughts whips up these crashing waves. We just get so caught up in the stormy surface that we totally forget about the infinite depths right underneath us.
To really drive this home, the text borrows a famous parable from the Lotus Sutra. Imagine a guy wandering the streets completely destitute, starving and suffering just to survive day by day. What he doesn't know is that years ago, a close friend actually sewed a priceless jewel into the lining of his coat. That treasure has been with him every single step of his journey. The text is saying, that's us. We literally have the boundless treasure of Buddha nature woven into our consciousness. But because we haven't realized it, we wander around experiencing all this unnecessary suffering, begging for external validation when the ultimate jewel is already right there in our pocket.
Section 3. Truth and delusion coexist. Let's look at the actual mechanism of the mind.
So the crucial point is this. If we already have the jewel, where do all these confused thoughts and delusions even come from? The text takes a fascinating turn here, arguing that delusion isn't actually an enemy you need to destroy. It actually points straight back to your true nature. Think about it like smoke and fire. You literally cannot have smoke without a fire burning somewhere to produce it, right? In that exact same way, you can't have a confused thought, a delusion, or an emotional wave without a pure underlying conscious awareness there to experience it. So even your ignorance is proof of your underlying Buddha nature. The very fact that you're aware of your confusion proves that the light of your true mind is already shining. Section 4. Initial mind is enlightenment. This brings us to sudden realization.
What happens when that starving wanderer finally feels the lining of their coat? It isn't this long, grueling process of building a jewel from scratch. It's an instant shift in perspective. The text calls this instantaneous enlightenment. It's the sheer, explosive power of a single moment where you recognize your true mind. In that one flash of insight, the whole gap between confused everyday person and perfectly awakened Buddha just totally vanishes. Recognizing your true nature in your initial pure state of mind is the exact same thing as enlightenment. It transcends time completely. You just drop the illusion all at once.
Section 5. Enlightenment and practice. This brings us to the core focus of our whole explainer. Reconciling this sudden awakening with everyday practice.
Okay, so here's the massive question. If enlightenment is sudden and we're already perfectly complete, why on earth do Zen monks meditate for decades? Why the endless rules? And this brilliantly illustrates the internal logic of practice. The ancient text uses a 5-part analogy of a konghao, a traditional harp. Pay close attention to how perfectly this maps out.
The body of the harp, that represents your physical form and mind. The potential for beautiful sound that inherently exists within the harp, just like your true Buddha nature. But having the potential for sound isn't enough. You need strings, which represent spiritual practices. You need a musician, representing your skillful wisdom. And finally, when that musician skillfully plucks the strings of practice on the harp, boom, you get the melody, which is becoming a Buddha. You see, the music is already inside the instrument, for sure, but without the strings of practice and the skill of wisdom, the harp is going to remain completely silent.
Discovering the jewel doesn't mean you automatically know how to spend it. The text gives us two more incredible metaphors for why practice is absolutely required after a sudden awakening. First, it's like a child born with all the physiological faculties of an adult. The nature is totally there, but they need time, growth, and practice to learn how to actually use those faculties in the real world. Secondly, think of a seed that's inherently sweet by nature. The seed is perfect, but it still requires the time and process of cultivation to eventually bear sweet fruit. So practice isn't about becoming a Buddha, you already are one. Practice is the daily process of learning how to function as one.
To tie this whole journey together, the text lands on a beautifully non-dual conclusion. Mind, Buddha, and sentient beings, they aren't three separate things. They're exactly the same. Enlightenment isn't some magical state you acquire from the outside world. It's your very own intrinsic nature. Sudden awakening is simply realizing you own the instrument, and continuous practice is the joyous, everyday act of actually playing the music. They don't contradict each other at all. They completely require each other.
Which leaves us with this final profound thought to carry with you today. The text asks us directly, if the endless treasure is already sitting quietly within your own mind, what exactly are you still frantically searching for in the outside world? I really encourage you to take a moment today, pause, and just look inward. The jewel is already in your pocket. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep practicing, and I'll see you next time.